This is my house.
The new Fallout series from Amazon. Before I watch it, I have reservations. It could be watchable like Reacher, or it could be an atrocity like The Rings of Power. I'm going in fresh as someone that liked the game Fallout 3, really liked Fallout New Vegas, and even quite enjoyed Fallout 4. But the series does have Walton Goggins in it, and it's an inspired piece of casting because Walton Goggins can play a Fallout ghoul while barely even needing any makeup. There's a long history of games being made into film and TV shows and ending up with some catastrophic train wrecks while delivering some of the very worst lines in the entirety of film history. I'm thinking Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Of course!
I'm thinking Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Brother. You're alive. Too bad you will die.
Yes, that Mortal Kombat Annihilation. The Super Mario Bros. Movie with Bob Hoskins, Alone in the Dark, the Resident Evil movie was one of the better ones. Game plots do not tend to translate well to the big screen, and what's the point anyway? The people that enjoyed the game already know the plot of the game, and everybody else mostly doesn't care. If they cared, they would have played the game. So as a long-time liker of the franchise, can they manage to bring it to film well, or did they balls it up? Now, having watched it, I'm not sure how best to do this. The series all dropped in one day, so I'll do it in one video I guess, but I would have preferred the series to be released weekly. If this does well, I may review every episode, but in short, if you haven't watched Fallout, maybe give it a try. I didn't like some things about it, but I did have fun with the series. They got around the game adaptation problem by not really following the plots of any of the games. They wrote a new story that used a lot of the same motifs as those stories did, so I think it should be enjoyable if you played the games or not. There are a lot of nods and references to the games that lovers of the franchise will enjoy. It has a lot of good casting. There are loads of actors in there that I like, which resulted in me saying, oh, I like that guy, and then 3 minutes later they'd get butchered, or they'd barely be in it again. But casting the actor Matt Berry as Codsworth was inspired. He's this guy who you may recognise from my videos, and he's an absolute star.
Hey, why don't you take your clothes off?
What?
Come on, we both knew it was on the cards as soon as I realised you were a woman.
Bethesda, for the next Fallout, please have Matt Berry voice just all of the robots. It would make me very happy. And if you could possibly make Fallout 5 sometime before the sun burns out in about 5 billion years or so, that'd be wizard. We haven't had a Fallout game in 9 years now. We did get Fallout 76, so we've not had a Fallout game in 9 years now. The series also has the drawback that it has no Mirelurks in it. Mirelurks in Fallout are giant radioactive crab monsters, and Fallout is a very odd property. Set on an alternate Earth with an America that's both futuristic while culturally still in the 1950s, when the Cold War turns hot, turning the world into a nuclear wasteland. People retreat into bunkers for hundreds of years, and when they finally go back to the surface, that's the setting for Fallout. Overall, I find the show to be entertaining but quite flawed. For a series that relies heavily on action, some of the action sequences look really quite bad. There's a fight early on between a man in power armour and an irradiated bear, and yeah, this series cost a reported $153 million. And for that kind of money, I kind of expect better effects than that. Overall, it's a real mixed bag. And there's this that I found quite worrying.
I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane.
Yeah, they did leave us some politics and the message in there, and they did it quite a bit. The source material is not without messages, but there are messages in the TV series that were not in the original games. It's like everyone in Hollywood has joined a cult. They just can't help themselves at this point, but to make a Fallout series and insert lines about privilege into it. And I would have preferred they not do this. It happens multiple times, but it's spread over the 8 hours or so of content. And yes, the series writers quite awkwardly did choose to softball communism on multiple occasions. Bethesda that make Fallout also seem to have grown to really dislike the Brotherhood of Steel, and the series seems to try to belittle and humiliate what for a long time were the poster boys of the franchise. For once, quite a bit of the humour landed for me, and the series got multiple laughs from me. The story ended up really quite flawed though, and the pacing could have been better, but they did manage to capture a lot of the feel of the games and the themes that were in them. It could have done with being a few episodes longer for me, so it managed to leave me wanting more, which is a very good feature. The acting I found to be pretty good across the board. Ella Purnell, playing Lucy, managed to win me over pretty fast. She's very charming in the series, with scenes like this from her wedding night when she goes home with her new husband.
Everything with the hand-me-downs, an icebox, a blend. Okie dokie.
Yes. And ladies, saying okie dokie there is a very good move. It may in fact be the perfect move. So yes, maybe give Fallout a go. It was flawed, but I had fun with it, and I was expecting to be a lot worse going in. I had a sinking feeling it could be another Witcher Blood Origin or Gotham Knights. But Fallout turned out so much better than either of them did. Lucy gets a pretty good story arc. The character gets to grow organically as she goes on her journey. Her plotline is quite overtly feminist, because of course it is. Hollywood now doesn't seem to make anything that isn't, and it's really boring. But that said, this is a lot more well executed than most in recent times. It's more Ellen Ripley and less Rey from Star Wars, so it's actually watchable. And Ella Purnell does such a good job with her performance and the accent. I would have thought she was American and not British, and if you want to watch the show, maybe tune out here. I'm going to be going into plot problems, and there will be spoilers from here on in. We open up and Walton Goggins is playing a popular actor performing at a kid's birthday party, and the spectre of war is looming. There's a great attention to detail and Fallout's retro futurist aesthetics, so there's a lot of styles from 1950s America. The show displays similar anti-communist McCarthyism from characters that the games do, but in the series this is cast in a far more negative light and seems a lot less balanced about it than the games were. Then 6 minutes in or so, at the kid's birthday party, the bombs drop, and it's a shocking, terrifying visual that at the moment seems far too close to real life, and for me, I'm not sure they spent enough time in this pre-war period. I think they needed more than 6 minutes to get invested in this world before they destroyed it. It worked, but it could have been better. A similar thing was done at the start of Fallout 4. It's like the show wants to rush to the gameplay like the games did, but there's no gameplay. It's a series. But the bombs dropping on LA was a very striking visual. We then go forward 219 years. Humanity has had to live in a series of underground fallout shelters to avoid the radioactivity of the surface world, and in one of these shelters, Vault 33, we meet the series' main character Lucy, who's been trained in self-defense but is very wholesome and sweet. The people of the Vault are very naive. A wedding party is coming from another vault, Vault 32, to bring a husband for Lucy in order to prevent inbreeding within the vaults, and the people of Vault 33 do not seem to notice any of the really very obvious warning signs about their guests. Their many scars and shocking lack of manners, and while Lucy is enjoying a wedding night with her new husband, what turn out to be very violent raiders in disguise start to massacre the inhabitants of the vault. The raiders' leader, a character called Moldaver, abducts Lucy's father, who's the leader of the vault, and then leaves with him back for the surface. Shortly after, Lucy leaves the vault to go and try and rescue her father, and her adventure begins, as she has to travel through the nuclear wasteland to rescue her father and uncover the mysteries of her past. So, a compelling start, and Moldaver works as a suitable antagonist, but sadly, the way she's written also completely breaks the story for me. Several hundred years after the bombs dropped, and Walton Goggins is still alive, surviving as an irradiated ghoul, and the series flashes back repeatedly to Walton Goggins' past. In one of these flashbacks, Moldaver is there before the bombs dropped, and this is when she delivers the line about communists, and I have no idea how she's still alive 219 years in the future. Some characters survived in suspended animation, but in her case, I've got no idea. She's alive and barely aged over 200 years later, and the show just never bothers to explain it. She also gets revealed at the end to be kind of a secret good guy, and the show tries to recast her that way. She's been trying to help humanity all along. Lucy's dad is more than he appears, and that's why she abducted him. He holds the key to unlimited cold fusion energy that could save humanity, and I'm left thinking, okay, if Moldaver was a good guy all along, why did she massacre a load of innocent people in episode 1 then? There's a lot to enjoy about Fallout, but it's also a bit like the film Argylle in some ways. If you think about the start again, once you've seen it through to the end, problems come up with the story that really shouldn't be there in a production of this quality and resources.
Of course!
Never rub another man's rhubarb.
Too bad you will die.